Abusuafo yebema obibia akwa abashonko so ede aba eye POG eye media so yebestre obibia sese afei ene wa batwumedie kese we so a obe like obe share no subscribe to the channel say na political trending news bia ekotwi ekọ breman eba bia na ha POG media yenso ya depend say ye de beba waso ne ye de baba tudua mamo ene ye political highway no so na yensem bebre ene aso akot insem ne bi ne sen insem ne bi ne say eye cocaine ene ekọ atrentie e wo Ghana mamom sese no cocaine no de akoye twika omode ekọ no say omode be na ayese from ha to ayi no ana sese Mahama John Drama ne Mahama de ne say ne nine esi from ne nia brie pa wa strong one to the end I before say any kwan say omuma obia kwan investigation kese e ko twi cobra mind there say any before any abrie pa omo so ato asoriche ade agu omuma mu a omo koba omo ye investigation kese asese no na adodan kwa Akuffo ado ehon so ya akapa say eye na mamuo time no oma eye cocaine e ko so ye hu ho hwe sese no Mahama bae no cocaine dealers no omo nsere omo nya we se de yin omama cocaine no so e koso Mahama na de waka ato na mamu so se corruption ne sa cocaine dealing na set ne de onte ase e ma ne nya adwuma a na ni abrie pa busuafo menje momre mo so pebre men se momre so mesram se me akọ ni akwakotie do John Drama ni Mahama e kan e damas
that they have with regards to some flights that touched down at the Kotoka International Airport. Take a look.
On February 9, 2025, National Security conducted a major raid on a warehouse in Sapiman in the South Municipality in Accra, where they uncovered 12 20-foot containers filled with gold bars and unspecified amount of cash in various denominations of US dollars and Ghana cedis, worth over several billions of dollars. Nearly 2 months after this operation, National Security has failed to brief the public on the status of their investigation relating to the corporates behind the billions of gold and cash stashed in the 12 containers, and failed to disclose the actual quantity of gold and the specific amount of money retrieved during the operation and what the state intends to do with the gold and cash currently in the custody of National Security. We demand accountability. Does the government, through National Security, intend to divert the 12 containers filled with gold and cash, only to turn around to deceive the public in the end and probably call the gold as fake and the cash as counterfeit? On another security matter related to our airspace, the Minority Caucus calls on National Security to, as a matter of urgency, make public the content of cargo suspected to be cocaine and cash transported into the country by two suspicious flights, namely Med flight NH23AM and Kavok Air private jets Antonov An 12B. There is no evidence of medical referral of or patients accompanying or on board the flights on either legs of the flight. We are reliably informed that contrary to the expectation that the Med flight would carry patients, the purpose for which it was designed and operates, it rather on this occasion carried suspicious cargo suspected to be cocaine and cash in various United States dollars denominations. It is the expectation of the Minority Caucus that transparency in such critical matters of airspace security is upheld in order to assure our citizens of the continued security of our airspace.
We are not going to do that. We believe that Ghana needs to be secure. And so it's important that we get this vessel to complement what the Navy already have so that they can protect all of us.
Well, so that's the minority in Parliament, specifically on the Defense and Interior Committee of Parliament. They recall two cases in the past that the National Security has worked on, plus also some, they say they have intelligence that borders on the fact that there was a flight that touched down in Ghana that is supposed to be a medical flight, but it's one that did not carry any patients. But based on their intelligence, they rather had cocaine and cash in there. The president is making demands. But before that, these are the cases that the minority referenced. Take a look. On the 9th of February, there was this report, which we also reported here on TV3. The National Security seized stash of dollars, gold bars, and counterfeit currency in a warehouse bust. The containers were tracked to a warehouse in Ofanko, South municipality, where a special operation was conducted after a tip-off, according to the statement released at the time. According to that statement as well, the concealed currency, mostly bundles of dollars, were found in wooden boxes filled with cement, and other boxes opened in the warehouse during the sting operation revealed extra currency stashed in the boxes that are barricaded with plywood and sealed with charcoal. According to the national security operatives involved in the operation, the statement noted that the 2 containers were still on the loose, but stated the security trackers are hot on their trail. The warehouses yielded even more shocking discoveries, including boxes of metal suspected to be gold bars, counterfeit Ghana cedi notes in 50 and 100 cedi denominations, and fake Ghana Army uniforms and boots, and some padlocks as well. You see in there, that's what you use to lock these containers. And so this was reported, and this was on the 9th of February. What the minority is asking for is on one hand, is an update on this operation by national security on the 9th of February. We'll find out in what form that update should come, and if it is part of the modus operandi or the standard operating procedure of national security to give the update on continuous investigations. That's a question that we'll put to one person who's worked with the national security architecture before he understands how it works, to get some more details on it. But this is what we reported on the 9th of February. Komla was embedded in there and giving us details at the time when this happened. So apart from this, the minority also is asking for updates on the recent incident earlier, that was sometime last week, where there was a bust of another $350 million worth of cocaine en route to the Greater Accra region from the Central region, which was described as a groundbreaking operation. The National Intelligence Bureau intercepted a staggering 3,319 kilograms, that's 3.3 tons, of substances suspected to be cocaine, with a street value of approximately $350 million. This was just last week, 4 days ago. The massive haul was concealed in sacks, as you see on the screen, sacks and bags cleverly hidden in heaps of sand in a tipper truck to evade detection. The vigilant National Intelligence Bureau operatives were able to uncover the illicit cargo, marking a significant milestone in the country's fight against narcotics. This tipper truck was arrested at Pedu Junction in Cape Coast in the Central region en route to Accra. The interception of the over 3,300 kilograms of cocaine was described as a significant achievement, marking about the largest cocaine seizure in the country's history. Over 3,300 kilograms, the largest in the country's history. That's what you see there. And, just some 5 days ago, these are a number of other issues that the minority is asking questions of, an update. We'll find out if that's going to be done. But with specific reference to that flight that the minority says they have intelligence that this flight touched down at the Kotoka International Airport, the allegations of some cash and cocaine in there, President John Dramani Mahama issued a statement just about some 3 hours ago on his Facebook page and X page as well, and we have a copy of it. Take a look at this. It's going to be on the screen right now. He says, "My attention, quote, has been drawn to allegations made at a press conference by an honorable member of parliament, Reverend John Ntim Fojo, regarding 2 suspicious flights arriving at the Kotoka International Airport suspected to be involved in drug trafficking and money laundering. Government takes all allegations seriously, and to ensure a thorough and transparent investigation, I have directed all relevant investigative agencies, including the Narcotics Control Commission, the Police CID, the National Intelligence Bureau, and the National Security Coordinator to immediately and fully collaborate with the Honourable Member of Parliament so he provides all necessary information to investigate the allegations and take all action necessary to expose any drug dealing. We will maintain zero tolerance for using Ghana as a transit or financial destination for drugs or drug trafficking. The National Intelligence Bureau made a high-profile bust of drugs last week with a street value of some $350 million. That is President John Dramani Mahama's statement. So essentially, demanding of the burden of proof from the minority, especially the ranking on the Defense and Interior Committee of Parliament, Reverend John Intim-Fojo. The president says if he has any information, he has to collaborate with the various security agencies to uncover the said allegation that he put out there. And he said they have intelligence. Richard Commodore is a former operative of the National Intelligence Bureau. He's joining us on Zoom right now. So Commodore, I want us to start from this point. The bit about the flights, the two flights that the minority says they have intelligence that those flights touched down at the Kotoka airport were supposed to be a medical flight, but didn't have patients on there. But rather, based on their intelligence, they uncovered that these flights had money and cocaine on them. The president is asking that Reverend Intim-Fojo collaborates with the security agencies. It's a fair ask, you would say?
Okay, so if you read the president's statement, the last but one paragraph, he makes mention of the known fact that for some time now, Ghana has become not just a transit, but a destination of origin of many of the issues we are talking about. The president is also aware that international ranking may affect Kotoka International Airport based on the nature of the accusations that is coming from the Reverend. And it's in that regard that the president is asking the BNI in particular to investigate and have the Reverend who made the statement as an assistant or somebody.
Abusiafo Nyankopon hiro bibia ahedwumadie ya bedrum pempen so ye do bibia ase so ahedwumadie ya bedrum pempen so hi POG Media so e be show say obe like obe share no subscribe to the channel share ma unuanom onamfofo abusiafo obi ansantimi nka dwumadie we bi ko ken dealing na e koso a e tonto Mahama ni abri pa o de na isi form a o se onte ase e ma ne nkoso asesi ano na Addo so e ho e ya aka atwem abusiafo menje mo mbremo so bebre me srem se mami akọ ni akwakotie ne to aso medamas.
Happy in the investigation. I am aware that there has been an enhanced search procedure at Kotoka International Airport in recent weeks. So it will be interesting to find out whether those flights landed and whether the content on the flight is what the Reverend is talking about. To the extent that it's an allegation, he who alleges must be made to prove it, at least to the minimum. And I think the call the president made is the right one. The timing is right, and it is so timed. I will urge the BNI and the police and the narcotics, as the president stated, that they need to move as quickly as possible to confirm the authenticity of what is being said. And if it is otherwise, they need to confirm that. And that's the way to go.
I see. And if you listen to the minority carefully, they make the point that they are not saying this in oblivion. They reference some intelligence that they have as well. I mean, so beyond the press conference and what the president is asking for right now, you would expect that that intelligence be made available to the national security apparatus if so demanded?
If you follow the president's directive, it means that he become a subject of interest for national security purposes, or he has become a crime investigation interest person and a subject of investigation. I think they would need to speak to him, and by the rules of alleges and proving, the police will want to interview him, much detail into that. The BNI will want to question him in that regard, and the narcotics will take it from there because that falls within the remit of the narcotics. Having said that, as part of best practice, what he could have also done is to give the evidence to the police and ask the police to investigate, besides the press conference. Then it comes back to what we do. Because if you remember, as part of what all the national security institutions does, is to help safeguard our sovereignty and also to ensure that there's public safety. Knowing the danger of cocaine and knowing the danger that if Kotoka has been blacklisted, the damage and the effect it brings on national security and travelers across the globe in terms of international ratings, I think it's proper that all persons who can attest to this fact would need to make themselves available in the investigation.
And even prior to this press conference today, this particular story of a flight suspected to have touched down at the Kotoka International Airport was making the rounds, and I'm sure you caught wind of it as well, you know. So the minority only just came in to put some voices or a face to those stories, or the story making the rounds, and in fact going ahead to say that they have intelligence. So you picked this up, did you not?
Okay, so this what happens. Sometimes for the purposes of investigation, surveillance must be going on, and the surveillance institutions or the security institutions will not announce it to the general public. There might be some level of monitoring, and they will not announce it. I don't know whether that was the approach that was being adopted. There could also be investigations, and to the extent that the investigations are not concluded, they will also not announce it to the general public, and that is the standard practice all over the world. Once he has made statements pertaining to those flights, specific flights, then again it means that he has something under his belt, and he used the word intelligence. I am a little bit skeptical when politicians use the word intelligence. I'm an intelligence officer, and I know exactly what intelligence means. I would have prepared them to say they have information. But once you use the word intelligence, I have always advised that once you don't have the full fact, it's always important to be subjective and not definite. If you listen to the press conference he gave, he was definite in that regard. And that is why he became the leading person to help the investigative agencies. That do not mean that the investigative agencies may not have a wink of what has happened, or they might not be following it. But then it raises the political temperature and raises the national security interest temperature. And to that regard, I think all of them in that regard must work together to ensure that whoever is behind this flight, that is, even if it is true, they come to the conclusion that it's either true or it's not true.
So at the barest minimum, their since South Member of Parliament, Reverend John and Tim Forger on the ticket of the NPP must prove that they said allegations, is it not?
You are calling allegation, but I want to say he made a statement that Kotoka has been used once again for money laundering and drug trafficking. These are serious issues. If the Security Intelligence Agency is working on it, based on the knowledge I have recently, that there has been an improved search procedure and some other things that is going on at Kotoka International, and there has been some intercessions in that regard. I think let's treat it more seriously. If we leave it in the realms of allegations, then it takes a political turn. But let's just say one of our citizens has given a heads up, and he does it through press conference. And the president, who is the commander-in-chief of the Ghana Armed Forces, knowing the seriousness of the information he's putting out there, has tasked the BNI in particular, and the narcotics that regard, and the police, who are the first respondents, to work together in either affirming it or ascertaining it or authenticating the genuineness and the truthfulness of what the member of parliament has said. Let them work together and bring a finality to it. But I can tell you, by standard procedure, if investigations are not concluded, then they will not tell the general public. So that is the way it works. We are also aware that for some time now, Ghana has become not just a transit place, but an origin and a destination for narcotics and money laundering and many of those drugs. And it is based on that some other people thought that let's enhance the searching procedure and exit and entry procedure at Kotoka International Airport. And I can tell you on the fact that some level of revelations have been made. So this one, the ball is in their court to work with the member of parliament to ensure that whatever he's saying is either true and it's not true, and that to end the matter on the good note.
Well, I refer to it as allegations because I'm quoting from the president's statement. He also references this statement as an allegation from the minister. But you're right in your stead at that particular analysis you make of this going beyond just an allegation to an emphatic statement made with some intelligence so-called as put out by the minister. But beyond that, they also make a demand that the national security should update the Ghanaian people about two of the operations that they conducted. The one in February that busted this gold bars and some dollars in the container, which we showed videos of and we kept putting it on our screen. And then also the one last week that busted the largest cocaine, as it were, consignment in the history of this country. They want some form of an update based on your knowledge of the standard operating procedure of the national security in itself. Will these updates come on ongoing investigations?
You remember that the NDC has changed the structure a little bit. The Attorney General and the Deputy are the chief law enforcement officers of this country, and they are the people who prosecute crime cases on behalf of the state. The Attorney General has taken a part in where he engages the media and he gives an update of crime cases they are investigating or the ones they are ready to prosecute. It used to be the style of the OSP, but this new Attorney General has taken the same trend, and people are loving it. People know the engagement is enlightening all manner of things, and people are following. You see, when you borrow this democracy from, those are representative democracy. So what you have is that these are independent states. The state has Attorney General, they have the police chief, and they have what they call the governor or the mayor. Ours is not like that. So I support the Attorney General, and I think that what the minority is asking for, if the Attorney General gives this a credence, then the next media briefing, he would have picked it up and answer questions to that. But national security operatives, the BNI in particular, they are not people who speak to the media, and whatever cases they are investigating, they will not speak. Now, if you look at the Act 1030, it says that a minister has to be represented or be responsible for national security interests.
I'm saying for Yankopon show bibia wa hedwuma dira bedru sam so ye do bibia ase ha na dwuma die no medi mu besi Yankopon show bibia mestrom say ma we fi ade ba ko like na subscribe to the channel say be ya political trending news be ko twi ko brema bibia na hanum POG Media ye ne yade pene say ade be bremo enko ba bia for so ye be so ha ne ye no mu adwuma mbom political trending news there POG Media he ya na abenya platform kesi we so e na nsa ebetumi aka no e do bibia ase makram